Hey friend, Andrew here. Today we're going to do an overview of my bass setup, so let's roll the intro. Well, welcome into my home studio. Before we get into the overview of my bass rig, I have a couple of free gifts for you just for watching today. The first is my home studio construction blueprint. So I've built 2 home studios now. This is my second, and I've put together a guide to help you construct your own home studio. So if you go to www.andrewpeachmusic.com/studio-blueprint, you can pick up a copy of that blueprint to help you, like I said, build your own home studio. The second one is my home studio outfitting guide. So again, if you go to www.andrewpeachmusic.com/studio-outfitting-guide, you can pick up a copy of that guide, and that's the process that I've used to outfit 2 home studios now, like the one you see behind me, with all the gear and all that stuff that you need to run a professional home studio. So if you run over there and pick up a copy of those, hopefully they're helpful to you. Today we're going to jump in and do an overview of my bass setup. So first we'll do a tour of the bass setup in the live room, and then I'll show you what I've got set up here in the control room. And then I'll do some demo playing of my pedal board and the different pedals on there and how it sounds. And then finally I'll do some playing with the bass and drums together, just so you can see how both of it sounds here in my studio. So let's get started with the tour of the bass rig in my live room. Alright, bass rig tour. So I've got the bass station right next to the drums. And we'll start with my guitar, bass guitars. First one there, the red one, is an Ibanez X Series 5-string from the early 90s. I played one growing up a couple times and really liked the feel of it. I found it used, I think it was a Guitar Center when I was working in the US for a period. That's my main recording bass right now. And then behind it is a 5-string Ibanez acoustic bass. It's a EWB 205 WNE. That's a really nice bass for recording as well, just for light finger stuff. It's really warm and round sound to it. I also have another bass that's on loan at the moment. It's an Ibanez SRT 800DX. It's a 4-string. My friend Chris has a loan of that right now. And I've got on order Fender American Professional 2 P-Bass 5-string. Had that on order now for a couple months. Just waiting for it to show up hopefully this week. I'll do a video on that. I'm sure once I get into how that sounds, I'm hoping that's going to be my main recording bass for sure. Pedal board. So directly out of the bass, whatever bass I'm playing or recording, this first pedal here, it's just a mute. Like this one's mine. So you just plug it in and on and off. Next is the volume pedal. It's a Ernie Ball VP Junior modded by, this one's mine, T1M. From that, the single signal splits and goes to the tuner, which is always on. Just a Workhorse TU3 there. Can't go wrong, one of those for sure. And so the signal splits to the tuner, and then the other part of the signal goes to the bass compressor, which again is always on. And I set it for about 3 dB gain reduction, depending on what bass I'm using. The SRT 800DX is an active bass, and the X Series is a passive bass, so the settings depend on what I'm doing there. And then it goes from that into the SansAmp bass driver. Got an onboard DI, but I just take straight out and into the radial JDI. And then I got a through, 1/4 inch through output that goes to the amp
or the FM3 if I'm using that, and XLR out to the board. So when I'm recording, the FM3 is new to me. I'm working on figuring that out, but the idea is when I'm recording, I'll record a dry signal from the DI and a wet signal through the FM3 amp simulator, and that will be my recording signal. So right now, when we're playing live, you can see there the through is labeled amp. So that goes to the PV-TKO115S, and we just like to have that because we all like to feel the bass. So that's always going whenever we're jamming or recording any live stuff. And then let's see, corners here, you can see the color code for this one is green. Here's the monitor connection for the bass. He's mix number 2. Gets his own mix or her own mix. And then I have a talkback mic. So else we can talk to the band. Have a stand. So that is an overview of the bass station. So we're in the control room now. So the XLR out of the DI comes in here to the rack, which then goes into the board. And you can see here, channel 12 is bass. And right now I do have a little bit of an EQ curve, whatever I was doing last, going into the DAW. And again, I use that for getting rid of any, just basically like a pre-filter going into the DAW. Sometimes people put EQ pedals on their boards, but I just do it here. And I can change that for the different basses I'm recording with. And then the FM3 is in the control room right now. Like I said, that's new to me. But when I'm recording, I'll record through that amp simulator. So that's an overview of the patching it into the mixer. So let's see what it sounds like.
All right, so that was a tour of the live room and the control room set up behind me for my bass rig. The next thing I'm going to do is do some playing, show you the different pedals and amp processor that I use. So first I start off with the dry signal and then add pedals as I go, and you can see how the sound is layered and how it sounds coming out of the FM3 processor that I use for amp simulation. So let's take a look. So that was a rundown of my bass rig with the pedals and how it sounds with my new bass. The next thing I'm going to do is do some playing, is put the bass and drums together from my last video. If you haven't seen the drum overview, go check that one out, and you can see how it sounds layered together here in the home studio. So let's take a look. Well, that was an overview of my bass system. Hopefully that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to have a look and try to answer as many as I can. So appreciate you watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.